Renee is ready to go home to Anna. How long will it take, and how will she deal with her new life? Let's find out. Renee secured a new house for her and Anna and happily lived a boring, uneventful life. Anna progressed and flourished in her academic studies. Renee's tight rein on Anna's social calendar kept her safe and without bonds to many people. She must keep Anna focused on anything but love, marriage, and children. She constantly preached the importance of independence. She would say Anna only needed a man to mow the yard and open jars. If she made enough money, she could hire someone to get that done. Only one thing still plagued Renee. It was her agreement with the Cox ladies. She never once considered reneging on her promise, but she really didn't want to follow through. Renee had a year to fulfill her agreement with the Cox ladies, and as difficult as it would be, she was wholeheartedly going to fulfill her promise to them. Renee was the kind of person who didn't procrastinate. If there was a job to do, she would just do it and get it out of the way. She planned to make her trip back up the mountain as soon as possible and release those lost souls. They were kind and merciful to her, and she owed them nothing less. She would do as she agreed and end their torture. 2 months passed, and Renee slowly made her way around the winding back roads. She barely glanced from the road as she tried to keep her mind from the task ahead. She saw nothing beautiful on this trip. She only saw the path in front of her. As she exited her car, a feeling of dread and excitement filled her. She didn't quite understand the excitement. Her stomach was in knots, but her heart cried out for something. She felt an emptiness that she couldn't explain. She took the stairs, slowly counting each step before she reached the door. Martha opened the squeaky hinge screen door and motioned for her to come inside. "Well, I see you followed through," Martha stated simply. Renee followed her into the sitting room where the other Cox woman was sitting. She sat beside an old pot-bellied stove, glowing almost red from the heat trapped inside. She turned and smiled at their very unusual guest. Martha took her seat next to the fire, and Renee found a seat on an old Victorian settee. The fabric was so threadbare that Renee was afraid she would damage it by just sitting on its edge. Everything in this house was antique and battered from years of use. Renee wondered what stories each piece could tell if they were capable of speaking. "You're the first to come back besides Nick and Tori. That says something about you. You are truly beautiful in this form, my dear. So very lovely." Renee blushed from a strange sense of embarrassment. She had never taken compliments well, and this one was even more uncomfortable. "Can I ask you something?" said Renee. She had so many questions she would like to ask, but this one was the one that plagued her most. "Why didn't Tori and Nick do this thing you're asking of me? You have waited and suffered for such a long time. It seems they could have ended it long before now if their love was, as they say it is, for you." Renee sat up straighter in her seat and waited for their response. "You see, we are their makers. We gave them this immortal gift and, in doing so, rendered them powerless to help us. Those of your kind can't harm their makers. You indeed will never be able to end the one who placed the immortal kiss upon you. It is the fabric of the magic. It's past anything that we even understand." Martha's answer was plain, simple, and sad. Renee nodded as if this made perfect sense. She knew nothing was out of the question in this strange story she found herself. She began to understand her unusual feeling. Tori had explained the draw of human blood, but Renee had only ever taken from blood banks and animals until now. Her gums seemed to ache as her fangs wanted to break through and do their awful job. "As you can imagine, I don't have a clue about what I am doing. You are a step closer than anybody else has ever been just by showing up. We are so grateful for that." "I don't suppose you all changed your mind since last we spoke?" Renee was half-heartedly serious about that. "Oh no, we are so done with this torture. If you can bring us peace, then please do it." The quieter Cox finally spoke. "I don't know what I need to do. I was hoping you would know what I need to do." Renee was hoping for a relatively humane answer, but that wasn't what she heard. "Violence and blood started our curse, and only violence and blood will end it. As we are drained to the point of death, we will feed the curse that lives in you, Martha explained. Rene didn't see her condition as a curse, and in all her existence, she never did. Instead, she viewed it as the ultimate gift. Martha moved to take the hand of her dearest friend. We have been through it all, you and me. I have no doubt that if there is anything after this, we will face it together. I love you beyond measure, Carolyn, and I will see you on the other side. Tears dampened the eyes of this brave soul as she spoke her final farewell. Not many people could get this chance to say goodbye. This fact was, in a small way, comforting. The woman who Rene now knew was named Carolyn wiped tears from her cheeks. Rene understood all too well that they were not afraid of dying, but of being separated. This moment was the first time they had no idea what was to come next in their long lifetimes. Their endless, mundane days of pain were all they knew. Now a new path lay ahead. This was an unknown road they were now to travel. Rene stood and walked over to the ladies and put her hands on their shoulders. It was odd that she wanted to comfort them when she would be their end. She was here to take their lives. "We're ready," Martha said, taking a deep breath and putting on the bravest smile Rene had ever seen. Everything was as natural as breathing to Rene. Her fang broke through her gums and took their natural place. Rene turned Martha and stared into eyes lined with and full of pain. "You will not be afraid and there will be no pain. Do you understand?" Martha nodded and Rene held her in a loving embrace. She nuzzled her neck and breathed in her sweet smell. Then nature took over and Rene's fangs penetrated the paper-thin skin of the older woman. Martha never made a sound. Her body only slumped in Rene's arms as she took all but her last drop of life's blood. Rene stopped before she supped from the table of death. She lay Martha gently onto the settee and looked at Carolyn. The latter had no fear in her eyes. On the contrary, there was longing and hope. Rene mesmerized her just the same, cradled her gently, and took her life. Rene fell to her knees as the rush of their essence filled her, and she felt the most extraordinary euphoria she had ever known. Tears flowed as she tried to breathe. The guilt seemed to lessen due to the total completion she felt. The ladies wanted this so badly. She had to end their suffering and complete her agreement with them. The ladies wanted to end their suffering, and briefly, Rene hoped she would never want to end hers, for there was no way out. Rene did the respectful thing. She placed their bodies underneath the willow tree to rest beside their beloved Ellen. She knew they would want that, and she wanted to use this spot as a way to never forget what pride would get you, as the ladies had once said to her. She made her way home without as much as a backward glance in her mirror. She had upheld her end of the bargain, and Anna was now truly safe. Everything she had done, or would ever do, was for her child. This act of kindness was no different. Well, as sad as that was, it was happy too. The Cox sisters can finally rest and be with Ellen. I hope you will come again to see what happens next. Until next time, bye for now.